Hello everyone, I am Swathi, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. Today I am here to discuss the topic is file management system in Dbms. Earlier session we have discussed basic information like what is data and what is information, what is database and what is the need of a database, and what are the databases available in current market, and how to transform the data by using some tools. These are we are discussed in previous session, and today we are discuss file management system in Dbms. So what is a file management system or a file system? Here see what is file management system. Here file system means a collection of file which are stored in a hard disk. So here what is a file? A file is a collection of records where each record contains a collection of fields and each field represents some data. For example, employee ID, here we have a columns like employee ID, employee name, employee salary and employee join date. Here suppose employee ID like 1, employee ID 1, employee name some Swapna, employee salary 20,000 and employee joined date it's maybe 30 October 2022, and second employee ID is 2 and name is Svecha and employee salary will be 30,000. Employee join date would be 19 December 24. So here see this file contains 4 fields, that is employee ID, employee name, employee salary and employee join date, and these are the records. Have called it as these records as a here we have 2 records. These are the 2 records in a file. This file contains 2 records and every record contains a collection of some fields. Here we have 4 fields like employee ID, employee name, employee salary and employee join date, and every field contains or every field represents some data. That is employee ID is 1 and employee name is Swapna, employee salary is 20,000 and this is the joining date. And second record, that field contains data like 2, name as Svecha and employee salary 30,000 and the join date will be like this. Here the files are stored in directories. So what is a directory? In directory contains, it is a collection of files, and directory also contains some subdirectories, and also subdirectories also contains some collection of files. So while using a file system, we have some drawbacks. Those are data redundancy and inconsistency and difficulty in accessing the data, data isolation, atomicity problems, concurrent access anomalies and security problems. These are the drawbacks while we are using file system. So first one is data redundancy and inconsistency. Here what is data redundancy? First, what is redundancy? Redundancy means the data has some duplications, that is called a redundancy. So data redundancy means storing the same information in multiple separate files. This wastes storage space and increases maintenance complexity. And data inconsistency means when different files contain conflicting versions of the same data, it happens because an update to one file is not mirrored across the others. For example, data redundancy and inconsistency, we have to see one example. Suppose we have some different files like student data, student file, it maintains in administrative office, and in department they have to maintain the department students data. and some scholarship department. They have to maintain all departments data. For example, in student file, there is a student application number. It is in this data maintained in administrative office. Student application number, student name, student application number, student name, student application number, student name, and address. Suppose student application number may be 100, student name like Kavya, address some XYZ. The data would be stored in administrative office like this. In department same, student application number and student name and address. And here same 100, Kavya. So address will be XYZ. So this is the, in department they have to maintain the student address like this. In scholarship department, where there is a same student application number, student name and address. Same 100, Kavya, address will be XYZ. So same data we have to store in different files. One is in administrative office, one is in department, one is in scholarship department. In our college server, it will be maybe there is a duplication occurred because of these are the 3 records will be same. So this is called a data redundancy. Whereas data inconsistency means when different files contain conflicting versions of the same data. Suppose in scholarship department, the student would be changed their address like instead of XYZ, they change address as a ABC. Only the scholarship department would change the address XYZ from XYZ to ABC, but remaining files, there is student file and department files, there is no update on address field. So there is a inconsistency occurred. So little bit confused here when while some persons want the student address, when here in scholarship or department address will be different, and remaining student file and department file there is a address will be different. So there is some inconsistency occurred. So this is the data redundancy and inconsistency. Next, data isolation. In a traditional file management system, data isolation refers to the difficulty of integrating or mapping data that is scattered across different files and locations. Here means different files means we have to store the data. For example, different files means we have a .xml files and notepad, Excel, etc. We can store the data in different file formats. For example, in real world example, imagine a bank using traditional file system instead of a Dbms. In Dbms, we have to retrieve the data by using some queries, but whereas in file system, we don't need queries. We don't use queries. The accounts file, here we have files like 2 files, that is accounts file and loans file. These are the 2 files. In accounts file, the columns like stores basic customer information, that is columns like customer ID, name and address. The loan file contains stores loan number, customer ID and balance. These are the 2 files, and each file containing some different fields. Here the problem is, If a manager wants to a list of all customers whose total loan balance exceeds their savings account balance, they cannot simply run a join. Here join means this is a we are using some joins. These totally we have these joins we are discussing the next upcoming sessions. By using join queries as they would in a relational DBMS, only where the connection between more than one table, if we need to fetch some data, we need to operate join conditions in relational database management system. Whereas in file management system, we do not use queries. So how can we retrieve the data from files? A program must manually write a script to open the accounts file, extract the IDs, then open the loans file. We have two files. Earlier we discussed, we have a loans file and accounts file. Extract the IDs, then open the loans file and look up each ID individually to merge the data. The data is isolated because the files have no way to talk to each other. Why? Because if maybe the account file would be in XML format and the loan file maybe would be in a Excel format. So we can't retrieve the data by using file system because of isolation, data isolation. The next one is atomicity problems. In traditional file management system, do not inherently support the concept of a transaction because data is stored across separate decentralized files. The system lacks a built-in mechanism to roll back these functions we discuss in next upcoming sessions if a series of related operations is interrupted. So why it happens in a file management system? So first, what is a decentralization? Data for a single logical task like a bank transfer might be spread across multiple files or directories. Lack of recovery mechanisms. Standard file systems generally do not have an automated undo, redo feature for complex application level logic. Hardware system failures. If power outage or crash occurs after the first file is updated, but before the second, the system has no record of where it left off. For example, here two persons like A and B. Here A sends 500 rupees to B. Well, there is some technical issue or any system crashes, it not send it to B, but here it will be deducted. But here it's not received. A transfer the 500 rupees to B, but here some system failure or any technical issue. A account deducted amount 500 rupees, but whereas B didn't get 500 rupees, not received 500 rupees. So these are the atomicity problems. Whereas in DBMS, it rectifies the atomicity problem. Next, concurrent access anomalies. When multiple users or programs attempt to read and write to the same file. Concurrent access anomalies. Simultaneously, without a centralized controller, several major issues arise. Here, without a centralized controller like a database management system, in file system, while using file system, there is some issues or arise. Lost update problem, inconsistent data or inconsistency, and dirty read problem. These problems are occurred while using file database management and concurrent access anomalies. Here, lost update problem. This happens when two users read the same initial file data, make separate changes, and then both try to save. One user's save will overwrite the others, causing the data to be lost forever. Inconsistent data. Since file systems often lack atomicity, a crash during a write might leave a file partially updated, leading to corrupted or logically mismatched data. And finally, dirty read problem. One program might read a file while another is still in the middle of updating it. If the updating program fails and reverts its changes, the first program has worked with a dirty or invalid data. First, we have to see some example, then we get clear information regarding concurrent access anomalies. Here, see a simple example, that is the banking conflict. So, imagine a file named accounts. This is a text file, account, that stores a single value balance, that is ₹1,000 or $1,000. Here we have users like user A, two users, user A and user B. These are the assume this is transaction 1 and transaction 2. This is the result in accounts. First, state T1, user A, it opens a file and reads the data, that is $100. So balance, there is no change in balance, that is ₹100. When transaction 2 open the file and reads the data, that is $1,000. So balance still $1,000. Here, just they can read the file contains how much amount in that file. Just T1 and T2 states, transaction 1 and transaction 2. User A, user B, just read the data here. So there is no change in a balance. The next is state, user A in transaction stage, he withdraws $200 and it will, and in 1,000 it deducted ₹200 and you will be ₹800. But whereas next transaction 4, user B, he withdraws $300 and remaining balance is $700. Whereas user A 800 and user B, new balance will be 700. And next transaction 5, actually user A saves ₹800 to file, and transaction 6, user B saves $700 to file. Here transaction 5, user A saves ₹800. It appeared result as $800. Sorry. And transaction 6, that is user B saves $700 to file, and it appears in file like a balance is $700. The anomaly is here in the file system is, in a file system, user B save overwrote user A's work at transaction 6. The total withdrawn should have been, here he withdraws 200 and here he withdraws 300. So in a file system, user B save overwrote user A's work at a transaction level 6. The total withdrawn should have been $500. That is user A $200, user B $300, leaving $500. Instead, actually here it shows $500, but whereas instead the file shows $700. So user A's update is a lost update. So it is the main these are the main problems occurred in while using file management system in DBMS. So what are the drawbacks while using file management system or file system? Data redundancy and data inconsistency, difficulty in accessing the data isolation, and atomicity problems are occurred. Concurrent access anomalies. Anomalies means what? Here anomalies means read anomaly, update anomalies, delete. These are the anomalies. And security problems. Finally, security problems. What are the security problems we get? Everyone will open the files, whereas in DBMS we can't open the files. So there is a lack of a security while using file management system instead of a database management system. So because of these problems, we can rectifying these problems by using DBMS, that is a database management system. We can discuss the what is DBMS and what are the advantages while using a database management system instead of file management system. the next session. That's all for today's session. Thank you.